Hey there and welcome. So on the bench today we have this here, a little 1 to 22 scale 2.4 gigahertz remote control buggy. So the company that sells this here is Vatos. I've sort of been wanting one of these here for quite a while because they have got good reviews, and I sort of thought I would like to try it. So part 2 of the video will be some actual sort of footage of how it handles and sort of the speed, etc. But this here is just going to be a breakdown of what you get in the box and some of the things I like about it physically and some of the things maybe I'm not too keen about it. So the box itself is quite nice. It gives you all the specification about, it's a 3-section differential gear, front and rear, 2.4 gigahertz, gives you some details about the tires, etc. and the thing and the motors. Yeah, and then the controller, some of the controller functions on the box. So quite a lot of the stuff that you need to know is on the box as opposed to inside the manual, but we'll get on to that now. So okay, first of all then it comes with this here little package here, which is your charging cable and your instruction manual, and a little Allen key and some of the clips to hold the canopy on, and a little screwdriver. Okay, so we also have the spare parts listed and part numbers on them, which is very good for ordering spares. Some of the cheaper ones you get don't have that, so this here is a nice function. It also has this QR barcode which you can download the manual from in different languages. It gives you some details about the sort of device, and then this here gives you it in quite a few languages. And one of the things I quite like about this is that the English isn't sort of broken English. Quite a lot of these here manuals you get, the English is very hard to understand, or it's sort of, you know, really sort of poorly translated Chinese. This here is concise, it's clear, it gives you the details you need, and it's easy to follow. So yeah, perfect. But I do really like the fact that it has part numbers for all the parts, so if anything breaks you can replace it. Okay, it also comes in with a charging cable, which is this here little cable here. So just if anybody doesn't know how these work, if you've never had a quadcopter or anything sort of that takes a smallish lipo, this here is a little USB, so you can plug this into your computer, anything that has a 5-volt output, and then you plug your battery into there, and the battery only connects one way. You can sort of see it's a single-ended terminal there. Now these work so you can plug this into like a phone wall charger. If you're in the UK, something like this here, this is actually a Kindle one. The only thing I'd be careful about is try not to plug it into one that say is a fast charger. So fast chargers usually give out sort of like 2 amps, and the batteries may not be able to take it, so just be careful that you're plugging it into a standard sort of charger. Okay, so that's that. Let's see. So the next thing then we're going to look at, if I can get it out of the box, is this here. Okay, so this here is the controller. There we have it. Okay, so there's the little controller. Now I've slightly modified this, but I'll get on that in a minute. First of all, I'll just show you the function. So in the bottom it takes 3 AA batteries, and that's all you have to do to this then. You switch on the little machine and there's a bind button, so you need to bind it the first time, but once it's bound once, that's it, fine. And yeah, you know, the controls are nice and stiff. You have steering trim, and then you have steering direction, so and then the power button, and we pull it back to go forward, and we push it forward for reverse. So we'll get on that there and this little modification here in a little minute. So okay, so so this here comes tied into the bottom, so I've obviously removed the ties because I've used it. And this here is the meat and bones of it. This is the actual little truck. So size wise then, the truck measures 22 centimeters long by 15 centimeters wide, so 22 by 15, so it's quite compact. You know, there's different scales these available, but I find this here is really fun. It's easy to throw in the car, it's easy to transport, it's not too big and bulky. You can put it in a backpack if you're out and about, and it's really handy. So yeah, so first things first, the little canopy pins, there's 4 of them on it. Let me just remove them there then to take the canopy off. Okay, so the canopy is actually held on, then the headlights, which are in the front here, connect on to the main bottom. And you probably won't need to have this off too much. I just like taking things apart and see what's in them, so you'll probably need to take it off partially to connect and disconnect the battery to charge, but that's possibly a little modification I'll do so that I don't need to disconnect the canopy to plug the battery in every time. I'll maybe bring it around the bottom or try and figure something out where it comes through the canopy. Okay, so we'll just take this lights off for the sake of this. So on the canopy you get a spare wheel which is screwed on the bottom of the canopy, which is a nice touch. The canopy itself is quite rigid. Now I've flipped this quite a few times, and the canopy, I have to say, is holding up really well. It's quite sort of thick formed plastic, and it's also ribbed in with a plastic frame, which I think gives it a lot more support. These little lights don't serve any purpose, they just look good, but you know, I imagine they'll probably come off after a few hard knocks. I haven't really had too many really hard ones, like over ramps, etc., but I've just flipped it on sort of concrete. But it's holding up pretty well, yeah. But you can get replacement canopies anyway, so it's not that big a deal. They're not dear at all. So okay, so inside it then we have our little 2.4 gigahertz receiver, and there's a little antenna comes out of the top of that there. Now the antenna was flat when I got it, so that was one of the things I'd done, was straighten the antenna out just to increase the signal strength of the wee antenna. So a little dipole antenna, and then inside it then it comes detached here, so that is the battery connector. So you just clip the battery in, and that is the battery connected. And then on the bottom we have a simple little on-off switch on the bottom, and that's it switched on. Okay, so the battery is actually in this side compartment. So to charge the battery then, we just unclip this, we get our little battery connector, plug that in, plug this here into either a laptop or desktop, into any USB socket, or plug it into one of these here and plug it in. And when the battery's charging, there'll be a red light on. When the red light goes off, you know that the battery is fully charged. Now, as I said there a wee second ago, this here is a little 7.4 volt, 650 milliamp bar battery. Now, I've tested the capacity in the battery with one of these here. If you don't know what this is a little USB voltage and amp tester. So what this does is, whenever you plug this in, so I plug this in line, so I plug this charger into this, and then this here goes into the wall socket, or it goes into my USB port like that, and then it tells me how many milliamps have passed through this to charge the battery. Or sorry, that way it'll be, and the battery capacity stated was 650, and the actual capacity was 638. So it was, you know, about sort of 12 below the stated capacity. That's probably because I hadn't ran it totally dead. The battery probably still had some sort of power in it. That sounds as if it's low, but actually 638 out of a 650 milliamp bar battery is really good. If you're familiar with LiPo batteries, you very rarely get the stated capacity. That's pretty close, so I was quite happy with the fact that it was 638. Okay, so there's actually a spare compartment here if you wanted to carry around an auxiliary battery. So if you wanted to carry your secondary battery here, you could buy another battery and keep it in there charged up, so you just need to swap them out and you don't need to hook about in the backpack for it. So that there's also a nice feature. And then if it was in there and connected, you literally just have to disconnect that, turn this around and connect it into the extra reconnector. So that's quite nice. So underneath then we have the wheels, we have the alignment of the wheels, which are in servos inside there. One of the things I will say is the wheels on mine sort of point out slightly. I haven't got into it to actually adjust that yet, but it's probably something I will do. It's the front wheels, do that a little bit. So as far as the shock absorbers are, I've had this over a few jumps and it does handle the jumps well. The shock absorbers do work. It bottoms out a little bit, but you know, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, I'm quite pleased with them there. For the price range, this little vehicle performs really well, this little sort of buggy. Yes, so what we can see then is, you can see the limited diff on it, the two sort of stage limited differential on it, which allows it to spin separately. So it's really good if you're going over, so if you're sort of rock hopping and you're moving slow, it's great because then it provides power to the wheels that need it. So yeah, really good. So I'll just talk about this little transmitter mod first of all. Now, this probably wasn't essential, but one of the things I noticed, I took this apart just to see what was inside it. One of the things I noticed, the antenna was lying flat. So what I did was, I literally just, with a little file, found a little tiny notch out of this center section. It comes apart in two halves, and I've put the little antenna through that little notch and reassembled it. It took me literally 3 minutes to do. But I think it will increase the range because it's aligning the antenna up. So now both of them are pointing in the same direction, so they're both polarized the same way, and I should get sort of a bit better range on it. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for this part of the video. I should just say the tires are really nice. They're soft tires, spongy tires to absorb some of the jumps. And yeah, I think I will be ordering some spare parts for this because I probably will be quite rough with it, but it's taken a bit of abuse already, and I intend to give it a good bit more abuse. So stay tuned for part 2, and we'll get into some of the actual sort of testing of the little craft and some footage of it ripping about the place. So I hope you like this part of the review, and thanks for watching. Hey there, so this is just some conclusions about the little truck. So I've had it out now quite extensively. As you can see, it's absolutely stinking. I had it out in some freshly cut grass there. So today I had it out on sand, concrete, gravel, longish grass, freshly cut grass which was still lying. You can see it's all over it. There's sort of sand still about the place. And I handled it all absolutely fine. No problems. I was off jumps, as you've probably seen in the video, quite high, you know, sort of a couple of foot jumps. And it never missed a beat. I had no problems whatsoever with it. No broken linkages, no problem at all with the suspension, no problem at all with the drivetrain. So the battery lasted really, really well. Yeah, so all in all, really pleased with it. I would definitely recommend it, and I would buy again. I'll probably get another couple of spare batteries for it. Controller wise too, it was pretty sensitive. The steering trim, you can trim the steering so that it trims the wheels, but you can also trim it so that it changes the amount of angle. So if you find it's a bit too sporty with the full turn on, you can turn it down so full lock only turns the wheels sort of a third or half of what they normally turn. So the range is good. I had no problems whatsoever with losing range, as you'd expect, because it's 2.4 gigahertz as opposed to like some Wi-Fi type of thing. Yeah, really impressed. It's getting my bench stinking here because it's covered in grass. Yeah, brilliant wee car, loads and loads of fun, and yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. So hope you liked the review. I'm sorry it was so long, but there was quite a lot to cover, and thanks very much for watching.